today I want to talk about friendships, sweet friendships. I believe friendships are a great foundation for young ladies to learn and grow in relationships, to trust, to be open, to be vulnerable. And I want to share three things that I feel like I've stayed true and principles that I've aligned myself with to cultivate the friendships in my life. I do believe now where I am, we should be our own best friend, because I think we're better friends to other people when we learn how to be friends to ourselves first. So that's a tip I would definitely say, to my younger self. But I want to share my journey around friendships in three kind of spaces that I think are so important. As ladies, we need friends. You need friends. I've had friendships since I was young. And I think I was a baby of three girls, so I've always been around women. I think that was a healthy space to, I like women. I've had very few masculine or male friendships in my life, platonic. But let's go to the friendship space. And what I want to say, the first thing I would say is collect friendships along your journey of life. Now, I remember when I got married, one of the groomsmen, I had 8 bridesmaids, and then I had 4 groomsmen. So I put 2 ladies on the outside of a gentleman in the middle. And I remember one of the groomsmen said, JB got all those friends. She's got to have one who have stabbed her in the back. And I remember when he said that, I just, I understand people's perspective on life, but I have never had a friend, and no one in my wedding stabbed me in my back. I've never had a friend lie or cheat or steal or entangled with another man or somebody I've been with, not in a space of backstabbing or my friendships, the people that I call friends, we've had real relationships around real things, but no backstabbing and none of that. And one of the reasons why I would say that is, again, that's why I say stay true to you, because I've been around people, I've had associates or people that I might hang around who have certain type of character traits, but to be a friend, I think you have to understand, what do you need from friendships and what type of person are you? And staying true to yourself and evolving and growing is so important, because you're collecting people along your journey. And friendships are true, they're valuable. My friends have inspired me. I have friends from elementary. Well, one friend I would say definitely from elementary. I talked to her last week, and she's someone I met in elementary. But I wouldn't even, we don't have the same circle, but she's a confidant. She's someone I trust. And we've proven each other to each other. We've proven ourselves to each other over the years. And so we've never had any time where we just did not talk. And I think friendships are not a space to talk every day. You may, but for me, that's just not the type of person that I am. And so friendships, to me, collect them along the journey. If you have the same friends from elementary and you still have them in every decade, I do believe that we're not growing when that happens. There is a time in our life we have to look and see who's beside me, and then go within, who's within, because why am I depending on these type of energies to be a support for my life? So the first thing I would say is definitely collect friendships along the way. Now, you go into your career, you're in college. I have several college friendships. Career, I've worked at Sally's, met a young lady there. We actually connected, a great friend. Career-wise, I've had a friend, she's long-term, lifetime, I believe, lifetime friendships. Again, when I meet someone, I don't be like, oh, we're going to be friends for life. I meet people, we connect, some people you never talk to again, but they may be a friend in that moment. And I think also looking at friend as a love language, as just people are human. We all have our own stories. You can connect people at a grocery store. In the moment, that's a friend, someone you could share. It's like my children are on the playground. I'm like, go meet your friend. They don't know that person, but it's a kindling of the spirit. It's a understanding this is a human person that I can connect with in this moment. So just looking at friendships and collecting them along the way, I think that's so important. There's going to be seasons in your life. I've met one of my closest friends. It was a time in my life I was trying to transition in my fitness journey. I DM'd her on Instagram. She was my friend, close friend for many years, and still friends to this day. Again, understanding the season that you're in. I've had prayer partners as friends for seasons in my life, but those lifetime friends are typically people I believe of a growth mindset. And they're just open and understanding what type of energy that you need. And that leads me to my second one. So collecting friendships along the way are so important. You should not have the same friends from elementary and high school. That means we still have an elementary and a high school mindset. We may have a few, but that means they probably have grown as well. The second thing I would say is know what you need. And I wasn't taught this conversation around friendships. Again, friendships, I think, were safe for me because it was a space to be myself. Definitely my friends, we were just all unique in our own way. And I like that because I didn't feel that at home. But know what type of, I personally need a supportive friendship. I need a friendship that inspires me. Again, maybe that comes from my childhood. I've definitely looked into that, like probably, but I don't know why or what you need, but just know what you need, because if you don't, then you will have a lot of different relationships or friendships, and they may feel like being backstabbed or may feel, but that's not, sometimes you meet people, that's exactly who they are. They show you that, and you still have a need to be their friend or continue to stay in touch, or they really need you more than you need them in their life, and you just don't know how to set that boundary and find a way to kind of ease away. So friendships, I would definitely say know what you need. And that just comes through just being honest, like look at the friends, the ones that you really find valuable in your life, the ones that really nourish your soul. Then think about, what are those people giving you? And for me, I found it to be support and inspiration. And I'll say this, I'll add this to there. This is for me, a principle that I just always live by. I kind of know where it comes from, but it's just a value. My friendships are not a place for me to go. I don't speak about my man. I don't speak about my marriage. And I mean, even being married, I've never went to my friendships and talked about my marriage, my intimate, romantic space. I do not believe that's a space for friendships. For me, I personally believe that's a place for someone of wisdom, someone who you admire in that area that has experience on that. Because, and I'll take it besides marriage, my friends know I've never talked to my friends, even when I was dating. I was in a relationship before I was married. A long-term relationship, we did. And I think for me too, my man, my husband is a friend. That's a space that I can find friendship in. So, you know, you're trying to cultivate those seeds of that relationship and trying to grow in that relationship. So your friends, for me, it was like, let's go to karaoke, ladies. Let's go support each other through whatever it is we're celebrating. Again, that's what friendships are to me. If yours is for a need to talk about your relationship, if that's a need, I would personally say, and I think women would say, that shouldn't happen, especially as you're younger, you're growing through life. People are going to have opinions on your relationship. And the truth about relationships, ladies, we're going to do what we want to do. And when you're staying true to you, you'll make good choices around that. You'll know when it's time to grow. You'll know when it's time to go. You'll know when it's time to get married. You'll know when it's time to have children. Stay close to your soul in those areas. Those are not, to me, places that you look at friends for. You support them in their transitions, but it's not a place, because I think that women, that's another story. You start comparing or you start wanting this. And I waited 10 years before I had children, intentionally. There were kids all around me, swarming everywhere. Loved it. You know, sometimes I thought about, I wish I had that, but I didn't. And intentionally, I didn't. And I'm so grateful that we waited. So grateful. So just be true to yourself. So friendships are, to me, are not a space to talk about your intimate relationships, to vent, to get advice. I don't care if they got the best relationship you think in the world. It's not a place for advice. You may talk about some things or share, just vent. But when you're venting, you're inviting an opinion. I'll say that too. When you vent, you're inviting an opinion. I just don't believe that's a space for friendships. Again, don't get it confused with support or any of that. But I just, that's something I've done, and I think that has been helpful. The last thing I would say on friendships is be willing to dissolve them. I think this is a hard thing and something that's not taught. Again, if the friendships that we have are only from childhood, then somebody's not growing. And dissolving them just means you're not cutting anybody off. I think, you know, in the cult culture, it's like cut somebody off. It's not cutting. I would say there's one person in my life, friend, I had to cut off. And that was because she, I would say backstab. It was a group of us from high school, and she did something just off limits to me. And I'm just that like, okay, that's what she did. Well, if she did that to you, I know she's doing that to me. Maybe didn't get back to me, or she'll do that in the future. And the root of that was just jealousy. So a woman that's jealous of another woman, she can definitely be jealous of me. So I think cutting is something that has to be in a very intentional way, but just in a culture, like somebody does something you don't like, I think have a healthy conversation. But allowing a relationship to dissolve means it's a growth. And I think that's challenging. And I still work on that, but it's just really just understanding that sometimes we outgrow relationships, and it's not even the person. I believe relationships are really for a season, friendships, you know. And I'll say this is another thing I hear young ladies talk about. I didn't have this issue, but it could be. A lot of times our friendships are based on family. I didn't really have a lot of friendships in my family just because on one side we were the only grandchildren. On the other side, there were tons of grandchildren. And I had my own friends. My sisters wouldn't necessarily be my friends growing up. We have cultivated each other as women, and we have we have a deep love that's you can't even compare to a friendship. It's a bond as a sister. I mean, sisters just, if you have one and you're close to them, you understand it. But friends, my friends, when I'm thinking out, oh, I'm gonna hang out, let me call my friends, I'm not including my sisters. Now I do, but throughout life, not so much. And even now, it depends on what I'm doing. And my sisters and I, we understand it. So friendship, dissolving them, not being obligated to them. If your friends are your family members, why? Do not feel obligated to family. I'm sorry. Sometimes that keeps us in a space of stuck. We can't grow. You know, I believe in choosing your friendships and allowing them to dissolve. That is so important. So important. The dissolving part is the challenging part, but choosing, if you get in that frame of mind, I think it'll be easier. And I would say start today, like really looking at your circle and start choosing things and spaces. When you're in growth spaces, growth environments, you're going to be around other people that are growing. So keep blooming, keep staying true to you, value your friendships. They are beautiful spaces to grow, to love, to learn a lot about yourself. I hope you have some valuable friends. And if you don't, start being one to yourself. I promise you, you will attract the right group of people. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.